Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to Lion Voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
What do you have to tell the people about Ras Tafari?
Light to the world. The king of kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. Elected himself. Where's rightful ruler? Hey yo! Eli! Hail them high, hail the black king on the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them comes without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill. The lion will come conquer Judah tribe. Go through tribulation, and I strive, see sufferation, and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Rastafari in every ghetto area. We come to tell them in a Toronto, straight to Inee.
Give us a background onto the eye, history where the eye was born, coming up in the chart, and I think this is very crucial because we want people to know you're a human being.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
coming from somewhere.
Coming from somewhere.
Yes.
We all have roots.
Exactly.
So I was born in Brooklyn,
Yes.
Brooklyn, New York. My parents are from the South.
Yes.
My mother is from West Virginia. My
Okay.
father is from North Carolina.
Okay.
I spent all of my childhood summers running barefoot in the hills of West Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a product of the New York City public school system.
Okay.
Um,
So you moved from West Virginia to...
No, I was born and grew up, but every summer, you know, when
Yes.
school was out,
Okay.
we went to visit our grandparents.
up in New York.
Up in West Virginia.
Oh, okay. So you were living in New
York.
York, and then you would go.
Yes, for the
Okay.
summers we would
Okay,
always go, all
okay.
the cousins.
So that explains your rutical
Yes.
journey because it was implanted.
It was implanted. We would go in the summer. We would go and pick buckets of blackberries in the hills.
Okay. Okay.
You know, my grandfather was a coal miner.
Okay.
So they lived in a very small coal mining town in Sabine, West Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah, we were one of two black families in the whole town.
Okay.
Yeah,
Serious.
so that was an interesting experience.
And I think this is important because we also want people to know that Rastafari is not just Jamaicans.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's
Yes.
your roots. You can't get more deep American rooted than West Virginia.
I don't think so.
But yet still
Yeah.
Rastafari called
Yes, I absolutely. So, you know, I was even thinking I went to the New York City public school system.
Yeah.
But I was either in the first or the second grade when it was 1 February. It was Black History Month, and Langston Hughes came to our school.
Wow.
I remember that.
Okay.
You know, my father took me to Billie Holiday's funeral.
Wow. Okay. History.
My father had a jazz club on Nostrand Avenue. I was a little girl, but
Okay.
yeah, you know, so, and they were very involved in the civil rights struggle.
Okay.
You know, they came here to DC. They marched on Washington with Dr. King.
Okay. Powerful.
Yeah,
Powerful.
yeah. So it's in my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And it came that this emperor from Ethiopia called the eye
Yes.
to service.
Absolutely.
So take us to New York City. You know, a young Sister Inee there. What were some of the things that you were seeing? What were some of the Pan-African influences at
Well,
that time?
when I came up, the Black Panther, they had a headquarters on Nostrand Avenue between Sterling and St. John's. I was
Okay.
too young to join,
Yes.
but you know, these are the people that I thought
So you would
about.
see them.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. These are the people. The East. That time it was the East with G2 Wayusi,
Okay.
Uhuru Sasa.
Okay.
So these were. I was in that neighborhood. So these were my influences from a little girl.
Okay.
You know, I always saw them once a year when they had when they had the festival, everybody came in their African attire, and
Okay.
I always wanted to look like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know, the culture was calling me from that time.
And this is so important. So, take us to your first time that you remember seeing Rastafari or having knowledge of Rastafari.
So you know, the neighborhood where we lived, I wasn't far from Fulton Street, so we always had those brothers out there on Fulton Street. They were hustling, selling weed. You know, that wasn't my culture then.
Yes.
But you know, they would always stop and talk to you because I had my afro.
Yeah.
You know, sister, come over here.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about His Majesty. And
Okay.
you know, then I was curious. I
Yes.
read. I did some research on my own to find out about this king
Okay.
in Ethiopia. Yeah, my grandmother in the 1930s sold the newspaper to raise money for the war in Ethiopia.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is coming deep.
Yeah, it's full circle.
Full circle. And then, so you're researching. What did you find striking as a young woman? How old? Let's get a timeline. How old are you when you meet these races on Fulton?
15, 16 years old.
So you're
Yes.
a teenager.
I'm a teenager. And you know, and again, kudos to our parents, because in that time, like now you hear people say, can I now, did I make decisions at 15, 16 that I can be held accountable for today?
Yeah.
But yes, we can.
Yes.
You know, because we came into this liberty as children.
Yes. Literally.
Literally.
Yeah. And your parents didn't bring you into the liberty. You
And
made
they
a
didn't
decision.
embrace it either.
Yeah, okay, talk about it.
They didn't embrace it either. They thought something was wrong with us.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
But we knew that this is how we had to live. We had to embrace this. I don't know, maybe when we get to the other side that we might hear say, well, y'all should have been doing something else.
Yeah.
But for right here, right now, this is what's carrying us through.
And the blessing, because, and we're going to get to it, because I tell people, you know, this child, you get what you put in.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I could never tell anyone His Majesty fail eye.
Never.
You know what I mean?
Never.
With a straight face. I would be a liar. So talk to me about, okay, this initial research, you're reading some books. What were some of the early books on His Majesty, if you can remember? And what were some of the things that stood out to you about this Ethiopian monarch?
Well, you know, dread, that was one of the things that, and the philosophies and opinion of Marcus Garvey.
Okay.
I read the autobiography of His Majesty. I was just devouring books.
Yes.
You know, because that's what we did. You know, we did research. We saw these things. And I was thinking today, you know, when Roots came on television, you know, that was a big thing. And like from that came on, we were like, oh no, we're Africans.
Because Roots, remember, is the year I was born.
Okay.
1977 is the first time it comes on TV in America. And I think before that, slavery had never been depicted.
Not
you know,
like that.
Not like that. Like,
right.
You know, for people to see, because you would hear about it. And we come from, or at least your generation, come from the silent generation that didn't talk about the history too much.
No, but also I have to say that I was a student, and I have an aunt, she's an ancestor now, who went to Africa several times with Dr. Ben and Dr. John Henry Clark. So those were my influences. We used to go to the slave theater, to the talks that were given there, the discussions that were given there. I saw Emmett Till's mother there. So many people, you know, so like growing up in Brooklyn, there was a lot going on. So every day in the community, you would just walk in the street, and it was an education.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was the heights of the Black Power movement.
Exactly.
The 70s was kind of a golden era.
Absolutely.
Before crack hit.
Yeah.
So you saw also things kind of take a turn in the 80s, where New York now becomes epicenter for crack cocaine. We had
devastation,
and it's like a bomb went off. And then also we had people like the Shower Posse who were impersonating Rastafari
Yes.
that were heavy in New York with their locks, shooting up the place. How did that impact? Because by this time you were already Rastafari.
I was already Rastafari. Well, I was a direct victim of it because my daughter's father went
Yes.
to federal prison
Wow.
for longer than we care to remember.
Wow.
He got caught up in that whole.
Is he out now?
Oh yeah,
Okay, give thanks.
That whole debacle, but yeah.
And was it her hustling or?
No, it was the other thing that he had no business doing. But it was all. But the interesting thing about it is that was the days when those were the Clinton White House years.
Yes. Okay.
And that super predator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he went to federal prison on a conspiracy charge. They didn't hold him with anything.
Wow. Just because who he was
just
around.
Because of who he was around and who was caught with something.
Yes.
And informed on him.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So again, direct victim of the war on drugs, which was a war on black people.
A direct war on black people.
You know, and black communities.
And black
communities. And I think it was a response to the golden era that we just talked about in the 70s, that explosion of culture.
Right.
Something had to be done to kind of stop this uprising in consciousness.
But I have to give thanks to Rastafari because, my daughter she wasn't an infant, but she was a toddler.
Yes.
And that was devastating. That was not anything that I could really imagine was going to happen in my life. But His Majesty said, hold on, you got this. Don't give up. And it was devastating to the extent that I had to go to Africa to just, be able to firm up myself.
Yes.
Well, don't be afraid, for I am with the eye. I will bring thy children from the east and gather thee from the west. I shall say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from afar, my daughters
and daughters while you waiting. Down in the west it seems your life frustrating. Down in the west it seems the haters keep hating. Africa awake, creators start creating. Then we'll be party waiting. Me and me woman love making. Leave Babylon and them hating. One love Africa and Jamaican. Then we'll be party waiting. Whole family them celebrating. Leave Babylon and them hating. One love Africa and the Haitian. The story written in my DNA. Them up my foreparents never get no pay. But down in a them system I could never stay. For 100 years been planning a getaway. Them put us down in a the ghetto, now things get away. And the way the system set up seems it's set away. Now the ghetto youths them praying for a better day. I know them bugger them vex the day we step away. Until then, we will be party waiting. Me and me woman love making. Leave Babylon and them hatings. Black Americans will be participating. Then we will be party waiting. Whole family them celebrating. We leave Babylon and them faking. In a Brazil them and mama communicating. The story written in my DNA. That's why me couldn't work for no CIA. That's why me couldn't work for no DEA. How many innocent lives did they put away? Put us under the jail to the book of wages. So many African males, please don't look away. I remember the land that they took away. Now Babylon them have to pay for their cookie pays. Until then, we will be party waiting. Me and me woman love making. Leave Babylon and them hating. In the UK them say them tired of the waiting. Then we will be party waiting. Whole family them celebrating. Leave Babylon and them hating. All over earth the African participating.